Oh, there you are. Yeah. Okay. Good to see you. Morning has broken. That's okay. I glued it back together. You can hardly tell anything bad happened to it. So it's about to be afternoon in about half hour here where I'm talking from. It's January the 22nd. The Master Builder, the Fiddler's number, again, 22. And I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about something I didn't think I was going to talk to you about. I thought I was going to talk to you about wakening from a terribly dispiriting dream and making the crazy choice to rush back in to help others waken too. But that's what it's like being a channel, I'm finding. You don't know what the guide is going to want you to discuss. I'm on a need-to-know basis, apparently. It's been a faith walk for a long time. My whole life, actually. I regard my life as an ongoing revelation. My beloved is everywhere all around me, talking to me through each of you, through the environment, the venue itself. And I figure it's the same for everybody, but most everybody is not lucid within the dream of their lives, and so they're not really listening on all levels. So, I learned in 1995 that I am a channel. I knew I had this relationship with my guide, who called himself Michael, said you can call me Michael. When I was, I don't know, I think I was 11 or 12, something like that. I remember the day, and I remember the encounter. But since 1995, when he began channeling a fiction series through me, I realized I was a channel, but I didn't realize, and I still don't realize, I can't know where he's taking this. So I may think I'm going to discuss one thing, and he says, no, this is what we're talking about. And to that end, I should say something about the history of how he's spoken to me. He doesn't typically use words. He hasn't in the past. Very rarely I have heard him say things like no when I was about to do something really that was going to endanger me. But typically, when I say hear him, I hear him in mind space, not with my ears. And typically he speaks in concepts. You hear people talk about the little voice in your mind space. And that little voice is little because it's speaking in concepts. It's not speaking to us in words, in general. And those concepts are something you have to attend to. You have to stop paying attention to the flood of sensory information and attend to that inner milieu. My dog, Gracie, is playing with her toys under the desk, so you'll hear her talking to them. So you have to learn to interpret both what the venue is saying to you itself and the venue through other people, or the fiddler is saying to you, your guide is saying to you through other people. But you also need to first, in order to do that, realize it's happening and start, come to regard your life as an ongoing revelation. So you interpret, you learn to interpret, and that requires you to be honest with yourself in an ever-deepening manner, to be also very much attending to what's going on inside your mind space and inside your energetic field, which you experience as your body, which is made by the field. So this is the part that is densest of your field, and you're experiencing your your inner self speaking to yourself a lot of times in your body, and it's up to you to learn to interpret that, and you have to be honest with yourself in order to do that. Now, since I was a kid, Michael has had a way of inducing frisson or chi flows, chi rushes throughout my body, Shakti. And he's done that since I was a little kid, but 5.5 years old. Along with ecstasies where I was not in my body, but elsewhere and in just this light. Just light. And sometimes there were birds there, or jeweled beings who resembled birds who scintillated. The dog is slamming into me. This is going to be good after my left hip is replaced. In any case, back to where I was going. Grace, go lay down. The dreamer who dreamt us all, dreamt us eternal. We have all the same powers as Source. We just don't know how to wield them to create the experiences we want. And the way this venue is designed, it's like a resistance training environment where you come to be saddled, burdened with your resistance, your baggage, against which you struggle to lucidity, and realize that you're the one who is creating the experience for yourself, no matter how good or bad it appears to be. You're the one wielding your holy will, consciously, that is, observing it or not, to create the experience that you are having. When you are lucid in the dream of the world, you have experienced and are experiencing an actual shift in identification as to who you are. What you are is more correct. You are the consciousness observing the way your mind is working. Whereas before this shift has occurred, you were in identification with the self-talk and the experience itself, the sensory inundation, the emotions. So when you come lucid, a lot of times it's accompanied by a big, spectacular Satori event with revelation, perhaps a dissociation from the body, like going into the light, overwhelming feelings of ecstatic bliss, undivided bliss. Been there, done that, but you have to function in the world. And if you're going to be in the world, you might as well serve refreshments and point people at the way out, the door. No, the way out is in, and you're the portal. That's important to realize. There is no inner door. You are the door. Focus your attention on your attention, on your own presence, on your consciousness. That's the door. That's the portal. You are the portal. You have to look back at yourself. Turn inward. There is an outerverse, or appears to be. There's an experience of an outerverse, and there is an innerverse. Infinite in both directions, and you are the aperture between them, like an hourglass going out each way. You are consciousness, conscious of yourself. So that's lucidity. And when you're lucid, things that used to really upset you, trigger you, make you laugh. Because typically when you're lucid, you're in a state of surrender as well. It's the only way it really actually happens. To be lucid, you'll surrender. When you're surrendered, you'll gain your lucidity. They go together. I'm just waiting for Michael. A few months ago, he prompts me to tell you. Actually, it wasn't a few months ago. It was a few weeks ago. It was about 6 weeks ago now. I asked him to grow a voice for me, an actual voice that I could hear inside my head, like I can hear music. And what has happened, instead of hearing him in my head very much, is I talk to myself here in the animals, and I regularly have been hearing him speak with more frequency, through my own voice. Well, it's his voice using my body. That's kind of an interesting experience. Another one of those things about being a channel I didn't expect. Recent development. So my understanding of Michael being interpreted is, as it is, through my own belief structure, my own TOE, theory of everything, which he's constantly working to expand and renovate. My interpretation of what he's saying to me is through that belief structure. Just as with everybody, we view the world through a lens of our expectations and beliefs. And lucidity is knowing you're doing that, witnessing that happening in an ongoing fashion. For those of you who want to lucid dream more, and I don't mean in this venue, I mean across venues when you're actually, your body here is sleeping, to have lucid dreams elsewhere. Michael tells me to tell you, as your lucidity increases here, it naturally increases in the other venues that you visit in your sleep. You begin to come awake, come lucid, just like you're coming lucid here, and realizing you're the consciousness. You're not the unhappy self-talk. You're not the mind so tormented. You're not the conflicted emotions. You're not the story. You're not the mind that's attacking your peace. You're not your body. You're not your possessions. You're not anything that hasn't made you happy. And your whole life you've spent looking outside yourself to find something in earth venue that would make you happy. And that never works. Your joy, you cannot replace lasting joy with passing pleasure that you get in the venue. Your joy comes from within, and it's an uncaused joy. You access it when you realize what you are, when you come lucid. And then the whole thing of being here changes. It's not so scary anymore. There is a lightness to it. Usually. In my case, because I have had another recent near brush with death, and I feel some urgency about delivering this message, getting it out there. You know, I feel great now. One never knows how long one has. So speaking of that, let's have a short word about when I died. At the age of 20, I was kicked in the face, here, by a horse, a stallion, while I was chasing him, riding astride the back of a barrel mare. And he knocked my body off her back. She ran in slow motion, very slow motion, out from underneath my body as I watched from a short distance away. Seems to me it was about 100 feet. I'm listening to the area of my peacocks and the bees at this time. I have them under surveillance, And there's been turkeys wandering around my yard. I haven't been able to spot them yet, but I can hear them out there, and you might occasionally too hear bird calls and such out. So that's coming in on surveillance here, and I can see the hive. And anyway, back to where I was going. So, dying was exactly like wakening from a bad dream. My life had been a very bad dream. I went through a lot of abuse. And at 20 years old, here I was, feeling my perfection in the Lustrous Vast. And there was Michael, the guide whom I had set aside at the age of 15 to become an empiricist, deciding he was just my imaginary friend. So for 5 years, I had been not listening to him. He was still there. I still heard him all the time. I just wasn't paying any attention. Even though he regularly lit me up with frisson. This is how he gets my attention. I have frisson and chi flows much more often than anybody I've ever met. Like, way more often. So he gets my attention when he wants me to notice something I'm doing, thinking, or saying, or something someone else is saying or doing, with a blast of frisson. Anyway, so here I am in the ecstatic frisson bliss of the Lustrous Vast with Michael. And he gives me a life review and a revelation of what I had been doing wrong that was making me miserable. In short, I was not lucid. I was in identification with my body, my mind, my story. And when I saw the way we were creating our own experiences unconsciously, that is, we did not observe ourselves in the act of creating precisely what we do not want. When I saw that, I roared with laughter because it was a tremendous joke. The entire venue is a jest. You don't get the punchline till you die. The jest is, it's the dream of the children of God, captive of the very world we make. We make it with our self-talk, which makes us unhappy, which we project out into the world by selective vigilance. We see proof of our expectations coming back by filtering out everything that doesn't prove it. And then we blame the situation we created, the experience we created, for our unhappiness. This is very funny from the cosmic standpoint, perspective. It's not so funny from inside the venue. Not funny at all. Although you're reminded of it often after you've died and come back, or when you're lucid. So then we wept. We wept together, Michael and I, because it is the cause, this jest, this the way this venue works to project outside of, to show outside of us, mirror back what we're projecting, okay? We wept at all the suffering it causes. And I just determined I had to come back into the dream. Now, I realized it was a dream. I didn't know how to get back into the dream. I had asked Michael. But I realized it was a dream, but I also realized everybody in the dream was just as real and just as cherished as I am. And I cherished them too. From there, I was compassion. Any concern for the me that I appeared to be was just blown away. My limits, just the limitations of what I as an individual might think I want or need, my pleasure, my joy, could not be complete until everybody else was free too. And hey, I was still in the neighborhood. If I could get back into the dream before I awakened to entirely, I could tell everybody, and then I could depart. So, briefly, let's talk about what it's like to come back out of such compassion, such overwhelming love, and to be so full of exuberant joy to tell people. And then to get back here, and the world is, and people are, just so indifferent, just so overwhelmed with their own lives. They are just rocky ground for the message. And very few of the seeds you cast ever find soil. And you've come such a long way because you loved them so much. And they can't even see or understand that level of love for them. When I say, I love you all, I do love you all. I'm not always centered in the experience of that feeling, but I am always in the memory of that feeling. And I came back because the love I do remember all the time is the love for Michael. He loves you all immensely. And for his sake, I'm here for your sake. So, if I can be helpful for however much time I have left in this venue, that's what I'm going to do. And I wish you all would please be kind to one another. Check out my books at crackedpotpublications.com. There's a link below. And those books will give you everything Michael has given me in a format where you can refer back to them regularly to be reminded, because inducing lucidity must be followed by a lot of revisitations to the lucid conditions so that you can learn how to get back there under your own steam by your holy will. So please be sure to subscribe to the channel here and click the notification bell so you'll know when I do my next little talk. I don't know what it'll be on because I'm on a need-to-know basis. Michael will tell me at the appropriate time. And soon we'll be able to do some live casting once we have enough subscribers. Thanks for being here. I love you all.